In the captain's chair, cozy sci-fi and sensory storytelling. I'm Sarah DeLong. I'm a voice artist, a storyteller, and an all-around human body anatomy function nerd. And I've been performing and teaching for over 30 years. So before I start, I'm going to do a little bit of a bookish thing here. I'd like to start with a dedication to 3 humans who have inspired me as I've built comfort in the captain's chair. First is Shelley, who wrote what is credited as the first modern science fiction novel 200 years ago, Frankenstein or the Modern Prometheus. Number 2 is Dr. Marian, who was a neuroscientist who 60 years ago produced the first scientific evidence of the brain's capacity to change. She did so while conducting experiments about the impact of enriched environments on the human brain. And she defined enriched environments as those with social interaction, play, and exploration. And third, Dr. Sally Ride, the first American woman to fly in space 42 years ago on the Space Shuttle Challenger OV-099. So let's get started. This beautiful illustration was created by my friend, Larissa. She's a visual artist and created it to represent what my cozy starship bridge would look like. There is a large brown leather chair draped with a beige blanket centered on a patterned rug. A cup of tea, several books, and a plant sit on a side table. Potted plants are around the room. And there are multiple consoles and large windows showing the view of space. The style is purposefully painterly meets retrofuturism. And at the bottom of the slide are the artist's name and the source of the background space photo for today's presentation, the Tarantula Nebula, photographed by the Spitzer telescope. The captain's chair is a powerful image in Star Trek. It represents responsibility, decisions, collaboration, strength, self-awareness, guidance, listening, and voice. And, as a wonderful character has noted, named Jack Crusher, it's just so cozy. Today, I'll talk about science, storytelling, and cozy Starfleet captain moments. And I'll offer you some tools that might help you build more comfort in your own captain's chair on the bridge of your own life. All right, quick systems check. Notice the jaw, drop the shoulders, feet grounded. Let's fly. First, a little science. Here's a collage of 3 anatomical illustrations of the human nervous system, set against the Tarantula Nebula photograph. They depict a rear view of the human torso showcasing the spinal cord and nerves, a side view of the human head and neck highlighting the intricate network of nerves in the brain, and an illustration of the brain suggesting neural connections and pathways. And the source of the images, UC Berkeley and Frontiers in Integrative Neuroscience, are at the bottom. I think the human nervous system is so cool. It's like the ship's comms. The sort that when they go down, people are yelling, you don't understand everyone, and getting rid of that tribble you just found in the warp core became a lot harder. The brain and the spinal cord are called the central nervous system. Nerves branch off from the spinal cord into your organs, arms, and legs, and these nerves, designated the peripheral nervous system, handle voluntary and involuntary systems. Voluntary, muscle movement. Involuntary, heart rate, breathing, body temperature, digestion. These systems have 2 functions, contraction and release. I like to think of these functions as on-off switches in computer chips. You need both, and they just have different functions. So information from all over the body is coming to the spinal cord and up to the brain, and the brain is communicating back. And then our brains have to process everything. I grew up learning about the 5 senses. Did you know they now think we have 20? It's no wonder that my sensory array is permanently set to overwhelmed. Maybe some of yours are too. It's a lot of data. So we all have similar brain structures. There's areas for movement, language, processing, logic, memory. But the neural networks that form inside our brains, almost like the lines we draw to create constellations, lines between stars, those can be unique from person to person. If you've ever looked at recordings of brain scans, but I'm a nerd, so you probably haven't. They look very strange. The neurons look like electrical wormy wires microcentimetering their way toward each other. It's wild. Amidst all our neurotransmitters, lobes, loops, waves, depolarization, there's pattern recognition built into those neural networks. The networks form by associating input from our senses. This piece connects to this piece, connects to this piece. I purchase roasted coffee beans. I grind them up. I pour hot water over them. I smell, I sip, I sigh in delight. That's a pattern. To the point where I don't even have to make the hot coffee. I just have to smell it and I sigh in delight. So when networks of neurons in the brain are repeatedly activated, based on muscle movement and sensory input, they light up again and again, strengthening their connection. By that point, your brain has saved that pattern in your memory. The brain, as we understand it, has a 5-step process, which I've represented here with dashed lines and 5 arrows tracing a circular path through space. Step 1, baseline scan the environment. Step 2, gather data. Step 3, respond to the data and mobilize. And step 4, complete the program. Step 5, return to baseline and integrate. Anyone else sense a plot outline there? As humans, we're wired to look for rhythms and patterns. We call it predictive processing. The brain is trying to constantly guess what comes next. It's like map building based on repeated experiences stored in your memory. We're also wired to create patterns, drums, calendars, prayers, and we tell stories. We say, this was the setting, this thing changed, the characters did this, and then this happened, and here's the ending. Those sections of the brain all nestled together, movement, language processing, and memory, they all use sequencing. Clearly, there's a lot of connections scientists are still working to understand between rhythm, sequencing, and sensory processing. If your brain is scanning your environment, gathering data, it matches it to pre-existing patterns, completes the program, and returns to baseline with minimal power requirements. Sounds like me rewatching a series for the 4th time because I don't have to pay as much attention because I already know the ending. They're saving Vic's lounge and sitting down for a game of poker. We're also wired to imitate rhythms and patterns. Some of those neurons in the brain are called mirror neurons. No, not the mirror universe kind. Those little brain cells activate when we perform an action for someone else and when we observe someone else performing that action, hence the name mirror. This activation can be measured with MRIs in several brain areas, including motor control, navigation, and memory. Our mirror neurons help us imitate, navigate, and relate. Now, maybe at this point you're thinking, well, of course I can imitate. That's how I learned the Vulcan greeting. Yes, muscle control. The nervous system also, as I mentioned, connects to involuntary systems, breath, heart rate, digestion, internal temperature. Research is showing that our brain waves, breath, and heartbeats can align themselves to an outside beat or frequency, even involuntarily. So when we create or join rhythms with others, our brains and bodies can synchronize. And if we repeat it, those networks getting activated again and again, we can create a warp 9 group speed dial for collaboration. Chants, songs, routines, rituals, these are all tools for group synchronicity. So, if the crew of a starship got stuck in an improbability field and had to get out of it by creating mathematical emotional sound vibrations with coordinated movement in a group with the same intention and goal, that crew would be creating synchronicity with their brainwaves. Like this retro playbill, Subspace Rhapsody. I don't care who doesn't like it, I love it. The executive director of the International Arts and Mind Lab at the Johns Hopkins School of Medicine is a very interesting human named Susan Mag-Salmon. She is accumulating research that shows singing or dancing alone or in groups gets stress-relieving neurotransmitters flowing, and that routines of making art, painting, gardening, tabletop role-playing, and so much more can support our personal and group well-being, which I kind of feel like most of us already know, but it's very cool to see the science.